Hello everyone, this is Kyra Book, and I'm here because I'm bored. Truly bored. So, today we're going to discuss a very interesting, elusive character. Some of you might know him as Naruto and Sakura's child, and his name is Uzumaki Shinachiku. So, I'm going to order this video so that I don't go off on a tangent, even though I probably will go off on a tangent anyways. So first, we'll start with his origins, then his appearance, my interpretation of his character, other interpretations that I've seen across the fandom, and lastly, why we generally accept Shinachiku over the current canon characters. I won't go too much into chapter 700, 699, the last, all this other stuff, because by now I really do not care. I'm sorry. So we're gonna just keep this to Shinachiku because that's all that matters now. So, let's start with Shinachiku's origins. From where, oh where, did Shinachiku spawn from? The answer is really simple, clear-cut. Everyone pretty much knows for the most part, although some people get it wrong, even NaruSaku fans. So, let me give an overview, because I like to watch everything and take archive of what happens in our fandom. So, Shinachiku, the name, came from an interview around the time Road to Ninja was released. An interviewer basically asked Kishimoto what he would name Naruto's son, because Kishimoto had said he was getting a lot of people asking that he would write a story about Naruto's son, the blah 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 blah, you know. Anyways, so Kishimoto answered in a joking way that since he already used Menma for the movie, then he would use Shinachiku instead. Now I must emphasize that he was joking. Like, I don't think he was serious at the time, even though a lot of the fans had a field day with it. Even I had a field day with it. Oh, he's gonna name him Shinachiku. Oh, that's so cool. You know, I thought it was cool. I thought it was fun, you know. I don't know if anyone, I know a lot of people took him very seriously, but I hadn't at the time. I didn't seriously think he had already named Naruto's son. You know, because I didn't think he was going to write a story about Naruto's son. I thought it was going to be Naruto and it was going to end all perfectly and great. But anyways, before I go off on a tangent, like I mentioned before. So, and just recently in an interview with Oda, Oda asked Kishi what he would have done if he had named Sanji Naruto, because I believe that was going to be Sanji's original name. And Kishimoto said he probably would have gone with Menma or Shinachiku, but I believe Oda said that it's good that he didn't go Shinachiku because it would be hard for foreigners to pronounce. Shinachiku is not that hard. It's no different from Shikamaru or all the other ones, but whatever, it's okay. So, that's where the name originated from. Now we move on to his appearance and why he looks the way he does now. In the anime, there's a scene where I believe Hinata's father jumps down in front of Kakashi and Guy with this character who has pale blonde hair and pale green eyes. So when we NaruSaku fans saw that back then, we were like, oh look, it's Shinachiku from the future. He's here to protect Kakashi Sensei, blah blah blah. It was fun, you know. We were like, oh, that's probably what Naruto and Sakura's child would look like. That's definitely Shinachiku, totally. So I think that's what mainly influenced his appearance now, even unconsciously, or maybe we just wanted a blonde-haired, green-eyed kid, because why not? So that's where I believe Shinichiku's appearance originally originated. And then when the ending happened, everyone was scrambling around, and people who had taken Kishi's interview seriously were like, where is Shinachiku? I thought it was going to be Shinachiku, not Burrito. But and so eventually art started coming out slowly of a green-eyed, blonde-haired child, and we named him Shinachiku. I can't remember the first person who mentioned Shinachiku or the first person who posted the art about Shinachiku, but what resonates in my mind the most back then is when Databe posted her version of Shinachiku, her various versions of Shinachiku, and then that took on and everyone took it from there. They started using her reference to draw Shinachiku, and now we are where we are today. Shinachiku is most popularly known for his blonde hair and his green eyes. Now I'm going to move on to my interpretation and then other interpretations. I'm doing this now because I have my own description of what Shinachiku looks like. So first I'll start with my interpretation of his appearance. He definitely has blonde hair and green eyes. He has his mother's green eyes. His blonde hair, I imagine, is a little bit different from Naruto's and different from Minato's. I imagine his blonde hair being a little bit more golden or a little bit more strawberry-ish compared to theirs. I felt like we could have a little bit of artistic freedom with what his hair color might be. I couldn't sign on to the orange hair because I know people like, oh, pink and yellow make orange basically, but genetics just really doesn't work that way. Not even in Naruto world, even though apparently Kishimoto forgot that in the final chapter. But anyways, before I go off on a tangent again, so I figured maybe not orange hair, but how about a strawberry-ish blonde? So usually when I draw Shinachiku, I sort of make his hair a little bit more golden or a little bit more peachy. That's the color I usually try to go for, a peachy yellow. So that's my interpretation of it. And then his hair, his style, I usually have him a part on one of the sides and one hair swooshed, unevenly swooshed down, basically. It's not too spiky. It's kind of a mix between his mother's hair and his father's hair, basically. Hers is down flat, Naruto's is up high, so his is kind of in between, half laying down, half sticking up. So that's my interpretation of his appearance. As for his personality, this kind of varies through the fandom, so I'm going to try to explain my interpretation of him without sounding or going too crazy here, because as you may not know, I talk to myself a lot, so I will go off on a tangent forever. That's why when I write text posts, I always have stuff in parentheses, because I just talk on forever, so I try not to. Anyways, so for his personality, I imagine, compared to Naruto and Sakura, I think he's going to be a bit more like his mother, but in a way where he's more like Minato. I imagine Shinachiku to be generally pretty calm, very level-headed. That's the important part here. I imagine Shinachiku being very level-headed. That's his main thing. I imagine him being pretty nice, kind of a people pleaser, but not to any extreme levels. Just, you know, he a generally nice guy, doesn't like to get on people's nerves on purpose or annoy people. He probably goes out of his way to make people comfortable. And he does have a mischievous side. So it's not that he'll be nice to just anyone. If you get on his bad side, yeah, he'll probably hold a little bit of a grudge. Your hair might be pink one morning when you wake up. But other than that, Shinichiku, I think he's more like his grandfather, from his expressions to how prideful he is in his work, or how much confidence he has. That's the word. He's pretty confident, not overly confident, not boastful, he doesn't have too much pride. He's just pretty confident. Now comes what his abilities will be, whether he's more like his father or more like his mother. Personally, I don't have much of an opinion on this. It can be either or. I don't have an opinion on this because I've left the ninja world behind. I don't want anything to do with the canon verse, basically. Maybe I'll accept an AU for the ninja verse, but I'm kind of so sick and tired of that whole situation that I haven't really thought about it. But I do agree that I find Shinachiku, my interpretation is I see him finding his own path. He doesn't dabble too much in medical ninjutsu. He doesn't dabble too much into his father's ninjutsu. He kind of eventually does his own thing. But I do think he does lean more towards Sakura's side of things, simply because even though he's an Uzumaki, he's technically isn't he only going to be half? He's only going to be a fourth, I believe, correct? So he's not, I'm sure he'll have more chakra than Sakura, maybe, by the time he's her age, but I don't think he'll get anywhere near Naruto's level of OP. So medical ninjutsu might be a better option for him. He might be able to do more with that compared to Naruto's endless chakra jutsus, especially like the Rasengan and all that mess. So with that on my interpretation, I haven't really thought that much about it. I do think he'll lean more towards Sakura, but I think he'll try to find his own thing that he can do. As for Shinichiku's dreams, again, that's something I have thought a lot about this one, mostly because I absolutely hate how Burrito is portrayed. I hate the whole idea of repeating the whole Hokage thing. I thought the Hokage thing was done, and it just annoyed me. So the one thing I did not want Shinichiku's dream to be, the one thing I don't think makes any sense, is for Shinichiku to want to be Hokage so badly, like his father and his grandfather and pretty much everyone else. I don't, in the world, in a ninja world where it's supposed to be peaceful, where Naruto and Sasuke was supposed to reform the ninja world, and where they were supposed to make sure that history does not repeat itself over. In a world like that, I do not see the point of a new generation of children wanting to become Hokage just to change the world. So, in my opinion, I do not like interpretation of Shinichiku where they're like, yes, I'm going to be Hokage, or I'm going to be better than my father, because it doesn't make any sense. I do not see why Shinichiku would desire that kind of dream. So usually my interpretation of Shinichiku's dream is that he does not want to follow his father's footsteps, and he doesn't necessarily want to follow Sakura's either. He wants to find his own calling in the ninjaverse. I say this because Naruto and Sakura, in my interpretation of what the ending should have been, they would have been a couple of the mini war heroes. They would cast a pretty big shadow upon their children, let's be honest here. So I think Shinichiku would have a little bit of an inferiority complex, only because it will be similar to what Konohamaru went through. That everyone called him the honorable grandson rather than his name. I think in some ways Shinichiku might face that kind of thing. I think he's different from Konohamaru, in which he does not want to overpower Naruto just because of that. He wants to go find his own thing to do that he can make a name for himself. So that is my interpretation of what Shinichiku's dream is. And that's pretty much my interpretation of Shinichiku overall. So now we can move on to other interpretations that I've seen across the fandom. So let's start over again with other appearances across the fandom. So, like me, most people interpret Shinichiku as a blonde-haired, green-eyed child. But also a lot of people, instead of, going with the whole strawberry idea or a darker blonde or a different blonde than his father, most people just draw Shinichiku with his father's colored hair. There's nothing wrong with that. That's genetics. So that's an interpretation. His hairstyle varies from person to person, but most people do have him with some kind of part in his hair, whether it's usually on one of the sides. There's also interpretations of him where his hair is sticking up. I think it was people have him like his Gutsy Ninja hairstyle. That's a popular one, of course. And what other hairstyle? I think that's about all the hairstyles, really. Of course, there's some where he has long hair. I don't know. Personally, I don't really like him with long hair, but that's what people do. But there's also people who draw Shinichiku with pink hair or orange hair even. So the pink hair and orange hair hasn't made that much of an appearance, but I will say usually Shinichiku is with either blonde hair 90% of the time, or he has pink hair about 10% of the time. Along with that, most people draw Shinichiku with green eyes, about 90%, and then the rest are blue eyes. So people either draw him with his pink and blue combination or his blonde and green combination. And the few orange ones I've seen, they usually give him blue eyes again. So, yeah. Those are the other appearances that I've seen so far. As for his personalities, I see a lot of people usually prefer Shinichiku to inherit Sakura's personality. Pretty much everyone views Shinichiku as calm, cool, and collected, more like Sakura than Naruto. So that's interesting. I think that's pretty cool. I'm very happy to see that because honestly, I love Naruto. I love what his character used to be. I do not accept whatever that trash was that's been out recently. The Naruto that I love his rambunctious personality. I think he's, I like that kind of character. But I do not want a duplicate of him. I don't think that's good writing. I think I like that Shinachiku is usually a good mix of Naruto and Sakura. That's why I have him as calm, cool, and collected like his grandfather, like Sakura, but that he also a little bit mischievous. He can still hold a grudge like Naruto. I want him to be a mix. I want him to be well-rounded. I don't want a clone, okay? Naruto has plenty of clones already. That said, there are people who still make Shinachiku exactly like Naruto. I don't know why people like that interpretation, but it doesn't really appeal to me personally. Not that I really matter anyways, I'm just saying. And then another interpretation I saw a while back was that he was way worse than Naruto. Like he was basically really bratty and spoiled. And with Sakura there, I can't see their kid turning out like that. But again, that's just another interpretation I saw, that he was kind of like a bratty rich kid, too prideful, boastful, that kind of kid. And then his character growth is basically calming down. So that was another interpretation. Another interpretation I saw of Shinachiku a while back was that Shinachiku he still developed this dire need for attention. Like he had developed this weird fascination with needing people to praise him or to pay attention to him. So basically I do think that Shinachiku is a people pleaser, but this interpretation I saw is that he was more than a people pleaser. He needed people to pay attention to him. That interpretation I didn't really agree with it, because I don't see how he would develop that way with Naruto and Sakura there. I couldn't see it happening, but that's another interpretation that I saw. Some people agreed with that, I guess. As for his dreams, I'd say most NaruSaku fans, they pretty much go with the idea that that Shinachiku does not want to follow in Naruto's footsteps. Most people don't have Shinachiku wanting to be Hokage, but a lot of people do have Shinachiku wanting to be a medic like his mother, or they want him to find his own thing, even though no one knows exactly what that is other than maybe traveling. Most people either go with he's going to be a medic, or he's going to be exploring the world, maybe like Jiraiya used to. So now we move into the final chapter. Why do we, NaruSaku fans, like Shinachiku so much? Why is he so popular among us? Why do we spread him everywhere? Why do even people outside of our fandom acknowledge Shinichiku's existence? The answer is, I don't really know, other than we simply like what his character has come to be. After the ending, I think most of us were ready to abandon Naruto. Most of us were we were mad, we were pissed, we didn't get it, we made up all kind of things or tried to reason for why this happened, and I think Shinachiku helped most people move along. Some people just refuse to accept Shinachiku, even NaruSaku fans. They're like, whatever. That's their choice. It's just an OC, so there's nothing wrong with not liking him. But I think the way that everyone agreed that Shinachiku was our child, that he basically helped our fandom cope with the ending. He helped us come up with new ideas. He gave us inspiration. So I think that's why so many people like Shinachiku. And when you have one character that everyone agrees on, it's easy to rally people up, to get everyone excited about this one thing. Like before, we had the manga to do that, but now that the manga is ended, we don't really have anything now that will unite us, except for hatred, of course. But who wants to be hating all the time? That's why of course I hate a lot, but I usually push that aside nowadays. I usually delete those posts after a couple hours after I let it out, and I just post a lot of Shinachiku because I think it's fun to dream up things for him, and I think that other people like it too. So as long as other people like it, then I'll continue to do it. As long as I like it, I'll continue to do it. If I don't like it anymore, then I'll stop doing it, of course. So that is the end of whatever this was. I just felt like rambling on about Shinachiku because I was having Shinachiku feels, and I felt like I needed to put this all out on some random audio post. I even theorized making a video about this, but heck no, I'm not doing all that. I just want to talk about Shinachiku today. Is that a problem? I don't think so. So a couple things that I missed out before, I just randomly remembered. Like, some things we thought of, like his nicknames, Shina-chan, Chiku-chan. I like both those. I think Shina-chan probably makes more sense. I said chance. My God, makes more sense than Chiku. Even though I think Chiku-chan, I think that's a hilarious little pet name that they can use to make fun of him. And also his verbal tick. I know there's a lot of debate about what his verbal tick is. Not on Tumblr, but like on places like Facebook, I still see people using Shante Bio, and it really doesn't make sense. I hope that Dateboro picks up more, because it does make more sense. I really do think that fits Shinachiku, even though most people don't draw him all that manly. Usually we're still drawing him as a kid at the moment, so I still think Dateboro fits really well. I think it's cute. I don't know if he'll have a shout phrase or a battle phrase like his mother, but maybe one of the other kids can. One of the many other kids that we have created. But for Shinachiku, I think Dateboro is enough. So, that's the end of this little thingy-majigger. Maybe I'll do other ones. Probably not, because I doubt anyone's even going to like this post. I just randomly decided to do it. And I'm going to post it in all the tags, because I feel like it's not don't cross tag. I'm going to add that in here. Don't cross tag. That's the most annoying thing. Oh my God. Can you please just leave them the hell alone and let us do our own thing? I don't even want to know that they exist anymore. And the more you cross tag, the more they come into our tag, and then I have to acknowledge their existence. So please make it easier for me and for everyone else to pretend like those fans do not exist, so that we can move on with our lives and with sweet, dear Shinachiku-chan. Oh my God. Okay, I'm gonna stop now. Goodbye.